Hi, my name's Charlie Baker. I work as a commercial fisherman. I hold an AMSA Master 45 and a Marine Engine Driver Grade 2. In this Club Marine TV video, we're going to have a little chat about tenders. Even at the best of times, tenders can be quite difficult to handle and have issues with stability and waves coming in over the side. In extreme weather events, these problems can be even worse. When it comes to wind strength, it's critical to know the seaworthiness limits of your vessel and the abilities of yourself. As a general rule, in waterways that are prone to swell or chop, small vessels should avoid going out in winds exceeding 15 knots. Wind warnings are issued for local and coastal waters when the wind exceeds 26 knots. That is a strong wind warning. After that, we have a gale warning, storm warning, and then hurricane warning. After we look at our forecast before we go out, all skippers should be observing the weather and take note when they think the wind effect will change. Conditions can develop quite rapidly. What we're looking for is observations around us, like on the water's surface or clouds. Also, we can look at real-time observations online. For example, I could look at the Wollongong forecast if I'm expecting a strong southerly in Sydney. Once it's hit Wollongong, I know that there's a certain time frame when it should reach Sydney. So that'll give me time to prepare my vessel for that event. Monitor the sky and your surroundings for any change in the weather. Look at patterns of birds, for example. They will always move to a sheltered location. We could look at other boats as well. If someone else thinks that the weather may change, you might see the boats all moving to another location as well. A cold front is faster moving cold air that's approaching warmer air. Two just don't mix. The cold front will actually push under the warm air, forcing it upwards, which brings us a dark wall of cloud with high white fluffier clouds above it called cumulus nimbus. If you see the cold front approaching, understand that we could have wind gusts for an hour or so, up to 50 knots or more. If you're out on the water, make sure you have enough time to pack your vessel up and prepare to depart and get home in a good amount of time. Remember that wind speeds in forecasts and warnings are averages, and that they could be up to 40% stronger than forecast. A strong wind warning can be from 26 to 33 knots. A gale warning can be from 34 to 47 knots. Storm warning, that's from 48 to 63 knots, and a hurricane warning 64 and above. A knot is a nautical mile per hour, and if you're not the metric type, 1 nautical mile is 1.852 kilometres. So if it was 20 knots of breeze, I'll estimate that at about 35 to 38 kilometres per hour. Large waves and swell are generated from low pressure systems far away. So it can be a nice sunny day where you are, but that means that you can be affected by waves building. Waves become steeper and higher the shallower the water gets. That's where we like to operate as boaties. On dinghies or open boats such as this rigid inflatable boat, we've got to prevent waves coming in over the side or over the bow. If we get water into the boat, it's going to increase its weight, thus reducing our freeboard, which is the height from the water surface to where water can come in. Use bilge pumps, even buckets, and whatever we can to make sure we can get that water out as quickly as possible. We also need to change our heading or the way that we're driving our boat or the area that we're in to make sure that we don't suffer any more waves over the side of the vessel. So we might have an esky, picnic basket, some tackle boxes. Make sure that's all lashed down nice and securely and down low. Also our passengers on board. If we're in sort of calm water before we leave for some rougher water to make our journey home, let's have a look if the vessel's on an even keel and people have got a nice comfortable place to sit where they can hold on and feel safe, because we don't want them to move throughout the voyage. It's quite important to tell the people on board your boat what's going on, especially if the weather has changed and we're making a new plan for home. The new trip, it could involve more fuel, a longer time and a different route in order to hide from some rougher weather. So we want to find the shelter behind some land masses and go through the calmer weather. We might have to consider a plan B or a plan C if we can't reach the desired marina or destination. When running in large swells or wind chop, it's good to monitor your vessel and how it's performing. If you're going straight into the waves, it may begin slamming and shuddering throughout the vessel. If it's too much on the beam, that's the side, the vessel will roll quite violently. So what we need to do is find that happy medium, and what you need to do is really look and adjust the steering if you're running on autopilot and that's holding correctly, and just look at a different angle on the wave. If you go over a wave, you could fall back down onto the shoulder and soften the drop. Wave Rider buoys are great. They provide real-time information and that can be viewed on the Bureau of Meteorology website. That will tell you the current trends with the waves. Obviously, if you're in the situation you're in, you're not that happy with the waves and the trend's going upwards, then it may be time to prepare and get out of there. Thunderstorms are accompanied by squalls, heavy rain, hail, and sometimes lightning. They also are associated with very high winds. East coast lows are severe weather events that happen off the east coast of Australia multiple times throughout the year. They generate intense waves, which can also generate a storm surge. They carry gale to storm force winds, and it all pushes onshore together. Tropical cyclones are a severe weather event to be well aware of. In the Northern Hemisphere, they're referred to as hurricanes. And as previously mentioned, hurricane force is 64 knots and above. Tropical cyclones, they come with intense winds, torrential rain, storm surge, and large waves. This can affect low-lying areas, even marinas and uprivers, and in small bays as well. Sea fog can last quite a long time. It's quite a problem for mariners as it reduces our visibility. Therefore, we're relying on things such as radars and GPS systems to know where we are and what vessels are around us. Tides not only affect the water level, but it also creates water flow, which we call current. When entering rivers or barways, we really need to be aware of this, especially outgoing currents, which are referred to as ebb tides. The best time to cross is on the high water slack. That means there's not much water movement. During the middle of the change, that's when we have the most movement. A low slack tide is also good as long as your boat has enough draft to get over the sand or the seabed that is at the barway. In severe weather events, when we're dealing with a lot of rain, remember in rivers and creeks that we may be dealing, even in coastal bays, dealing with a lot of debris, logs, rubbish, and other things that will float down. If we have internal flooding on our boat, we need to make sure we've got the battery power our bilge pumps. We need to make sure our bilge pumps are switched to the correct setting. They can either be off, manual or auto. Most people like to leave their boat with nice clean bilges and the bilge pump on auto. Our mooring lines, we'll keep them on board. We'll either stow them away or put them away neatly. They're going to be handy if you need to be towed, you need to tie up to another vessel, or go to a marina that you weren't planning on going to. When preparing for heavy weather, considering your fuel, the quality and quantity you've got is very important. You're best off to keep your tanks full, as that'll prevent condensation building up inside the tank. Water doesn't just get into your tank through a leakage or something like that. It's generally through the air moving in and out of the breather. So we come down here, this is what we call our water trap or primary fuel filter. And if you have water in there, it starts to look a bit like apricot nectar. So it's a good idea to drain some of them out. Just a plastic drink bottle's fine, a recyclable one, and take a bit of fuel out. While we're back here, we've got different setups for bungs, so it's good to have a look at what they mean on your vessel. This one has got a self-draining deck, but if it had a lot more load in it, then we might get water in through here, these ones on the bottom. If we do have a lot of water in here and the vessel's underway, you can actually, with a crew member that understands what they're doing, remove the bungs and let it drain out. Here we have a life jacket. Make sure there's enough on board for everyone that's going to be on the boat, and if the weather does turn bad, put them on straight away. There's no point trying to do that later on. I generally wear mine at all times anyway. We don't want to find out that there's issues with the hull of our vessel while we're out there, so this is a rigid inflatable. You have a quick look over your seams and you make sure it's all very well inflated. If these are operated when they're not fully inflated, that's when you can get tears, especially around the seams. So check all the different parts of the Swanson to make sure it's okay. With dinghies and tenders, make sure they're lashed down well. If the vessel's in the marina, you could always put the dinghy back in the water and take it home and put it in the shed. If there's room on the vessel, you could deflate a rigid inflatable boat and store the whole thing inside a hatch. There's great sources of information you can look at before you head out to sea. Right now I'm having a look at the Bureau of Meteorology, checking the forecast for the local area. So that's the coastal waters forecast. All these apps and online information are great. You could use a laptop, you could look it up on your phone. If you're out of reception, you could call through on the radio. We can have a look at the Club Marine website for the boat preparation for severe weather. That has links to some good forecasting sites as well, and good checklists to work off. Any checklist is a good checklist because it stops you worrying about things that you may have missed.